Hey everybody, this is AT with Team Madman, and today we're going to be reviewing this, the Titan Lat Tower. So stick around. Hey guys, AT here again. Thanks for stopping by, thanks for checking out the channel, and I apologize for the delay on this video. It was supposed to be out last week, but we did have a family emergency, so thanks for sticking with me, and we're going to get into this review. Before we get started, I'd like to throw a shout out to the guys at CSAR, Come Sit and Relax. Thanks for the Hooyah t-shirt, a bunch of pararescuemen out there, and the proceeds, if you support them, go to the Pararescue Foundation, so supporting vets. Alright, let's get into this. Alright guys, we're talking about the Titan Lat Tower here, 300-pound selectizer stack. So if you're here watching this video, I'm pretty sure you're on a budget or you're considering this thing upgrading from, you know, a spud pulley system or maybe a plate loaded system, and you're wondering, is it worth it? But you're not quite willing to spend $2,900 for the Rogue version. So you're looking at this thing as of January of 2021. It's showing Titan's website out of stock, but at $1,299, so at $1,300. Right up front, bottom line, I bought this thing in 2019, so we've had it since the summer of 2019, and I paid $854 for it back when Titan was offering discounts every other week, pre-pandemic, before it was the gym craze, and it was a smoking hot deal, so there was no question for me, a couple $100 more than a plate loaded. This was an easy buy. So today we're going to say, is it still a good deal or not? First of all, it's a Titan piece of equipment. It's a lower quality import, Chinese made, steel assembled. The instructions are shoddy, all that kind of stuff you've probably heard. Most of those rumors are true. I would not recommend a bunch of their stuff, but there are a few things that I do like they produce. For example, the safety squat bar, their version 2 is on point. Coop over at Garage Gym Reviews did a great review on that, summarizing, and I think it is a great buy. And I'll talk about the pros, the cons. So you're going to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly after a year and a half of use of this, what I think is their version 2 machine, which is what you're going to get on the market today. Now, let's talk about some of the quick specs. So, some of the quick specs on this thing: foot has a 6-position leg adjustment for the pull down and 8 adjustments for the foot pedals. I tend to kind of leave the foot pedals just fixed once they're there. It's just a plate really for your low row attachment. As far as the pad that goes over the thighs, you know, just depends on who's lifting here. I've got my wife in here and she adjusted. The kids are in here adjusting it. Some of the guys that come over to lift. It works out for pretty much everybody. A year and a half later, the foam and the seating has held up just fine. No rips, no tears, and we put it through some pretty good use. As far as the tower, it's 41 inches wide, 57 inches long, and 87 inches high. Now I know a lot of people are wondering, you know, if this is going to take up too much space in your garage. So if you find a place like I did where this can be conveniently placed, it'll be up and out of the way. You know, it is a long 57 inches, but really that 41-inch width is the base plate itself. The tower is actually slim. That's just the back brace that gives it stability. So if you can put that up against the wall, the tower itself is pretty slim, and it's only really the widest part are the pads that go over your thighs for the lat pull down, and they're only about 1.5 feet, I believe, from side to side. So I've got this between the 3-car garage where I can drive 1 car in and the other 2 on the other side, and it's out of the way. We can unload the car, groceries, not bump into it or anything like that. Found that was the best place to put it in the garage. This is 3x3 11 gauge steel construction with 5/8 inch holes in it, similar to the Monster Light or Titan X3 line, or the Rep PR4000 line, you name it, 5/8 inch holes lines for a 3x3 rack. Now, what do you put on those accessory holes? I don't know, because anything is going to be in the way. It's not like some of the newer racks where you can remove the seat and the lower and use it for a selectizer up, down, low row pulley. Doesn't work that way. But it does match aesthetically to other stuff in the gym, especially if you have that 5/8 inch holes or at least 3x3 line. It looks cool. The finish itself is a powder coat finish, kind of what you see on some of the early Rogue equipment and Titan racks before they came out with their Titan series racks or their X1, X2, X3, whatever you want to call it lines. It's a basic powder coat, and at best you're looking at, you know, at least a few defects here and there cosmetically. As far as the steel wasn't structurally, fine. The welds aren't the prettiest in the world, and I'll show you some close-ups of that. And there's definitely some damage where it had been nicked, maybe from sliding around the pallet, the packaging. Who knows if it, you know, what the customer, or excuse me, what the quality control is there. It's Titan Fitness, so don't expect it to be a flawless finish, something you're going to showcase. But overall, for a garage gym where it's going to take a little beating here and there, right next to some of my tools, I don't really care as long as it works. So shipping, when I received this thing, shipping was very, very poor. Now, Titan has kind of rebranded themselves in the last year, and they've taken advantage of this whole pandemic situation to revamp their line. I've heard a lot better things as far as shipping goes. My stuff showed up on a second-rate wooden pallet with cracked boards on the pallet, pieces that were not wrapped in plastic, kind of almost free-floating within the overall mass of the pallet that was covered in some kind of cellophane. I honestly thought there were going to be missing plates from it, but everything was there minus a few bolts I was able to pick up at the hardware store. For the price, I was satisfied. I didn't complain too much, and the fact the shipping was free, great deal versus paying freight for a couple $100 somewhere else. But very, very nerve-wracking for those of you out there. You've heard horror stories about Titan packaging, and the early days, true. I've seen some of their packaging from a recent review of this machine. It looked like it was a much better containerized wooden crate where nothing could fall out. So it looks like it's gotten better, but myself, I can't say that for sure. So speaking of working, this thing, getting it together, was a freaking nightmare, and that's one of the big, the bads here is the instructions. The instructions were virtually non-existent, at least in the pallet that came with mine. So maybe that's something along with a few bolts that went disappearing. So I had to go online, and if you go online, check out their instructions. You know, I'll throw a few pages up here on the review. They're pretty shoddy. Now, I'm pretty handy, and that's going to come into play in another part of the review where I think I was able to accept some of the blemishes and some of the things that weren't working because I knew I could fix them. Other people may not have the tools, or just, you know, want to go ahead and take that initiative to go and fix some of the bigger mistakes here. But if you are, this is definitely worth it in my opinion. All right, so believe it or not, the blemishes on the steel were not the ugly part of this review. It's the pieces that were not machined correctly, or they didn't do some product testing and stuff didn't line up right. So basically two things here. The first thing is this top pulley, the most aft one. Good pulley, like I said, but it was originally machined here, which would have put the cable center, which you think would be great, but that didn't work. So when the cable was to the center there, this bar would come down and it would hit, especially on lightweight. Like if you're doing some real lightweight or something, one or two plates, it would tap the top of the plates and start chipping away at them. So that was definitely a problem. I had to take my drill and machine this out a little bit and move the drill, the screw that way, so it was more of a natural fall line straight down to where this thing is at. There's no adjustment or anything in there, so that was a pain in the butt to have to do that. But I had the equipment to do it, and it didn't take me that long, but I can see how it would frustrate some people after paying $1,300.
Another thing is that mine was missing a bolt here, so I had to put a bolt in the packaging. That was probably due to the shoddy packaging at the time. The second thing that I've heard people complain about, and I had a little bit of problem initially, was the low pulley. So the low pulley here, you know, you could do your seated rows, which is great, but some people also like to do bicep curls or any kind of side lateral movement. You would get the potential of this cable sliding off track. It would come out. So again, I had to drill, I can't remember if it was the top or the bottom one, but I had to decrease that gap in the middle here so these pulleys were closer together. So I actually had to drill out through straight and then lower one of the pulleys down. I think I lowered the top pulley down. So no kidding, just a couple millimeters to decrease that slop in the cable there. Once again, not a big deal for me because I had the tools and, you know, kind of the handy know-how to go ahead and do it. But for some people, could be very, very frustrating, especially, like I said, after paying the higher prices and having to deal with that. So hopefully they fix some of these issues, but I have seen a recent review as is recent of 2 months ago where other people are having the same issues. Just know that there's a fix out there if you're willing to go through it, or, you know, find somebody who's got the tools willing to help you. You know, you're still saving a lot of money on this machine. So give you just a quick standing back. This is the full machine right here in the garage. Here we go.
Final thoughts on this Titan Lat Tower. What do I think? Yep, it's a winner. Yeah, we could go with a Rogue or a Sornex, but for $1,300, half the price of those other options, I think most of you are here looking at this thing. It's on your radar because you're in that market. So for this 4x6 stall mat, pretty much the area it takes up, I think it's a great deal. For most garage gyms, you can find a place for it. Stick it against the wall, stick it against the corner between two garage doors like I did. Stick it right in the middle for all I care. Move your car outside. This thing is a game changer for what it can add to the gym. You got the lat pull down, you got the seated row, you can do tricep push down, all kinds of variations with attachment. Start throwing other crazy stuff on here like a Black Widow attachment, you name it. It's endless. Add some extension chain to make this thing longer, run it around another pulley, who knows? Good deals, good options. The pulleys on this thing are smooth, and that is the thing that I want to point out. We didn't talk about it much earlier, but this thing is way smoother compared to some of the options I've seen where just bolt onto your rack. And for the price of most racks or less, this is what you get. So, again, final verdict, 100% recommend. Check it out. If you can find one while it's in stock, go ahead and grab it. And let me know what you think about the shipping and maybe version 3, what's out there, because I'm pretty sure this is a version 2, and I'm happy with it a year later. So, thanks for stopping by. As always, stay focused, stay hungry, and train like a madman.